Hello crafters, I'm Jan B and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. The technique that I've used for the birds is known as Dry-Embossing Vellum. It's a beautiful technique, and this is just so tactile because it's really very bumpy. It's really gorgeous. So I'm going to do the same card as this with two changes. One, I'm going to change the colour. This is powder pink and I'm going to be using Balmy blue, and I'm going to change the lacy design there. The set of edgelets that this came from come as a set of 3, so I'm going to use one of the other ones. So to start off with, I'm going to show you the card pieces that you're going to be needing. Right, so the card base is Balmy blue, and this should be 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, which is 21 by 14.5 centimetres. And then you need 2 pieces of Whisper White, which measure 3 7/8 inches by 5 1/2 inches, which is 10 by 14 centimetres. And then you need a piece of a sheet from the Graceful Glass 6x6 design and vellum. Now if this looks as if it's been sellotaped back together again, you're right, it has. This is take 2 for the video. Unfortunately I cut this wrong, so I've had to stick it back together again so that I can explain properly how you should do it. Okay, not quite sure how I'm going to wing this, but I will do. So you need one of these sheets, or a different design obviously if you want to. And then you also need a piece of Balmy blue that measures 3 3/4 inches by 5 3/8, which is 9.7 by 13.7. And you will also need 2 strips of Whisper White, which measure 1 inch by 5 3/8 inches, which is 2.5 by 13.7 centimetres. A scrap for the sentiment, and 1 piece of Balmy blue, which measures 7/8 of an inch by 5 1/2 inches, which is for that inside there. Okay, so let's show you what you should be doing with this. I don't know quite how I'm going to get on with this because it's got all that tape on the back, but just imagine that it's a perfect sheet. And let me just check my notes here as well. So what you need to do is take the line that the birds are sitting on, and you have got to measure down 1 3/4 inches, which is 4.7 centimetres. And where's my T-square? There it is. Okay, so I want I need inches. 1 3/4 inches from here. I'm doing that the wrong way round, aren't I? Right, so if I do that there, bring it right to the edge, and mark it at 1 3/4, which is that one there. And then this one up here, I need to measure it at 2 inches. So take it from there up to 2 inches. Okay, so let's see if I can cut through this, because I'm going to have to cut right through the tape. So that's my 1 3/4 inch mark, lining it up with the cutting groove. That should cut okay. Yes, that's fine. Now I'm going to move that over to the 2 inch mark. Oh yes, that went through okay. So that's for the front of our card, and now we need the piece to go on the inside there, and this has got to be 7/8 of an inch wide. So I'm just going to put the cutting blade, cutting groove, so that it goes right in between those double lines. Just checking that I'm in screen. Right, and as that's a little bit on the short side, I'm going to anchor that down with some post-it notes. The finished width of this, I need it to be the 7/8 of an inch, which I told you need your bit of Balmy blue to be. Yep, that's okay. I've got a tiny little bit there. Now I can put this bit, line it up at 7/8, and that is spot on, 7/8. I've obviously cut more off that side, but never mind. I'm going to leave it like that because I need it to be 7/8. Not that I'm using that one because I've already cut my bits ahead of time. Right, so at least I managed to get through that bit. So the next thing we're going to do is to do our dry embossing. So what you need is your piercing mat here, and turn this over, ignore the bits there, and I suggest you take a piece of wax paper, and you need your scoring tool as well. Now the first thing I do, and of course I'm not going to see this very well, am I, because of all the bright lights, but that's all right because I'm not going to be doing all of it anyway. So you need to go over all of the birds with your stylus, go up to the edge but don't go outside it. Did I say you've got to work from the reverse? Yes, I did, didn't I? Yeah, turn it over so you're working from the back. Oops. And then just give it a little bit of a rub with your scoring tool. I use the thinner end, but if you do, you have to be very, very careful not to press too hard. Right, now I'll just do these first two birds so that I can show you. Now the idea of using this wax paper to start off with is just to transfer some wax onto your vellum, and it will make life a lot easier. Okay, you see the little marks that I've done there, made it go a little bit whiter. So let me zoom you in a bit. As I say, I'll just do those two birds. Now I am working from the back, and what you need to do is to take your stylus and go right up to the black line and then apply pressure. I tend to do circular movements. You need to have a certain amount of pressure without too much, because if you have too much you are going to tear your vellum. Where I go to anywhere where it's quite a narrow area and I can't do circular movements, I just do individual straight lines. I don't try doing backwards and forwards, especially when it's such a small area like that, because it would be just too easy to go past the black line, and obviously this is going to show as white on the other side. I'm going to turn this round so I've got the bird's back, so I can do a straight line along there, right up to the edge of his back. And you'll be able to feel that it's getting deeper and deeper. You may want to take a spare piece of vellum, maybe an offcut that you've had, something that you've been using, and just do a little bit of practice so that you get a feel of how hard you can press and how hard is too hard, because the last thing you want to do is to damage a piece like this. Again, here we go down quite a thin piece, so I'm just doing individual straight lines going right up to the black line. Okay, so now if I turn it over, you can see how white that has gone. I don't know if you're going to be able to see how raised it is though. Let's have a go. Oh yes you can, look at that. Isn't it beautiful? That is just so lovely. I love this. You don't have to do this just on ready stamped vellum, like this is vellum that's already got the image on it. You can do this on vellum yourself. You can use any of your stamps and heat emboss with black the image, and on our vellum, because our vellum is lovely and thick, it's just like this. They call it a cardstock. Yes, if you heat emboss your image in black and then work from the back as I am, from the reverse, this is what you can do with it. I have already made a video showing this technique, and on that occasion I stamped my own image. It was a flower, but I decided to make another video because we now have this available. So it's just giving you another way in which you can use it. Okay, so again I'm on the straight bits, going down to the narrow bits. I'm tending to do straight lines. Well, it probably looks as if I'm doing up and down. Now I am. But you'll find that you'll create like little walls. You're hit against a bump where you've been embossing and it's gone deep, but the piece next to it hasn't been embossed. I hope that makes sense. If you try it, you'll know exactly what I mean. But as I say, I do really recommend that you get yourself a scrap of any bit that you know you're not going to be using, preferably something that's got a pattern on it, so that you can practice filling in, staying within the lines, just doing the bits that you want, not all over. I think when I was doing this earlier on, I think it probably took me about 25 minutes to do a complete sheet, all 6 birds. Okay, now I'm not very happy with his chest because it's still quite grey, the big bird here, so I'm going to go over that again, see if I can get it more white. Without making holes in it, of course. Okay, that's a lot better. You can see that it is actually white now. You can see the bumps on there and it's causing a bit of shadow, but it is nice and white. Okay, so that's what you need to do. Just carry on and make sure everything white. And in true Blue Peter style, here's one I did earlier. So they're all my birds. In fact, that one doesn't look very dark, does it? Just give that one a quick going over. That's better. Right, okay, so how do we put our card together? I'm not going to need that bit, am I? If you don't have any scraps, you could always use that bit and just colour in some of these stripes. Don't colour all of them as your practice bit. Right, so I need this, and I need this, and I need to stamp on that one. So let's do the stamping first, because that's going to be a job for my big shot. And the stamp I'm using is from a stamp set called Birthday Poses. Oh, let me put you out a little bit now. I normally put my card underneath to see. That's about right. See how close or far I need to go. Right, Birthday Poses, and it's this one here. There aren't any dies to go with this, so it's has to be cut out by hand. If you really don't like that idea, obviously you can choose any sentiment that you like. The reason I chose this one is because I hadn't thought about it when I put the ribbon on there, what I was going to do for a sentiment, and that one I thought at least I can get the dimensionals above and below, and at the end of the day I thought it finished it off quite nicely. So it was what they call a happy mistake to make that one. But I'm not sure that I'm going to be using ribbon on this card. That's it, that's fine. Move that out of the way. So I need that for the big shot. I need those two for the big shot. And I think that's it, isn't it? Yes. So let's move that out of the way. I don't want that damaged. Right, okay. That's not the big shot. I'm freehand cutting that one. Right, now the dies. Where's my edgelets? This is a set of 3. Okay, so that's one I've already used. And this is the one I'm going to use now. And this is what they look like once they're die cut. That I love, but obviously that's far too deep for what we're doing. And this is what we're going to be using, which I think is rather nice. But what I want to do is I want to die cut it so that the bottom of it is just below the stitched edge. So let's see. You can put it that way, but you can't really see where the edge of the die is. So what I did was I turned it over, put it that way. Oh, I've got a couple of pieces left in there still. Where's my paper piercer? Let's just get those 2 out. Oh, there's one down there as well. Right. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put that in first, and I am going to line this edge just below there so that that just gets covered up, but I'm also going to watch what's happening up this end as well, and also to make sure it's in the centre. So if I've got 2 stitches out there, I want 2 stitches here. So that's nearly there. Right, okay. So I can just about see the die jutting out there and there, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm sure that that is going to cut perfectly okay, but at least my stitching is going to be just in. Let's try that again. Of course it's going to cut the post-it note as well, isn't it? Well, that's alright, doesn't matter. I'm just thinking about all the little bits getting stuck on the lacy bit. But let's have a look, see what happens. Yeah, look. Oops. So let me just get the dye brush and my mat. Let's move this over a little bit because I need two of these pieces. There we go. It's pretty, isn't it? Really like that. And the stitching is just about in. True Jambi style. It's crooked, but we're not going to worry. Right. So that's, get rid of that debris. I know we have another one to do. So let's see if we can get it straight this time. That's okay, but that one's not all the stickies is gone. Right, that will keep the dye from moving. Now 2 stitches and 2 stitches. Move down a bit. That looks about right. Now, are you straight this time? I think so. And I can't see the dye this time either. So let's hold that down with that. Before I joined Stampin' Up, I always used to face my dies upwards, and I don't know why I started doing them face down. I've never heard that you shouldn't have them up or down. I've always thought that it's probably a matter of choice. Right, let me just get rid of this. We don't need this again. Keep that one. That can go. That can come back. Maybe that's still a bit crooked. Right, oh, there we go, that's all right. So I'll clean that up later if it's got any bits left in it. Yes, it has. I'll get rid of this. Right, so we really need to just put our card together now. So what did I do? Started off with this. Where's my complete sheet. Here we go. So this one. So I adhered it on there first. That's right. And the way I adhered it on was I used is that the right side? Yes, tear and tape. I used tear and tape for this. So I put one piece along the top. Now you'll have to keep flattening this out with your fingers to make sure it stays flat. I'm sure you could see that this is like really crinkling up. And I did forget to cut this the correct width, but that's okay because it's quite easy to trim off. Now I'm not going to put any down here, but what I will do is once this is on and I've cut the bits off, I'm going to just lift the end up and put my Tombow in there to put a little bit of glue onto two little places just on the inside. Right, so I'm going to take that one off. Now what you need to do is make sure you're getting this lined up straight. Decide where you want this to go, you know, to centre your birds, which is going to be about there. So I've got that much going over. You can see that, can't you? The amount of white that's under there. So I'm going to make sure this is right to the edge here and straight. And I'm going to pop that down. I can't really see what I'm doing. I assume that's, oh, that's more or less straight. But just keep flattening that as you go along to make sure it's flattened down. And then when you do this one, take this piece off. Let's bring that in because I can feel the tape where it's gone over the edge. It's sticking onto my grid paper. I have that. So I'm just going to smooth this down as it comes over. I'm not pushing hard on my birds because I don't want to push the bumpy bits in. There we go. Yep, that's okay. Right, so I'm just going to cut this off. I'm just cutting along the line of the blue. Now you may decide not to bother about putting Tombow, little tiny little dot just inside there on that line. If I can get this to come out small as a tiny dot, I will do. But if it starts fighting me, then I won't. Let me just see what it's going to be coming out like. Right, let's see if we can get that. And I'm just doing it on the line. Oops. Oh, no. No, we're not going to have that. Right, hold on a moment. There was obviously a little bit of a glue plug in there. Right, okay. Let's try that again. Right. So that's that one. if I find that it's very obvious, I will put a couple of little gemstones at either end. Just put a little bit down there as well. There we go. Right, now when I did this one, I made sure that I left enough of a gap up here so that when I put the lace on, it came down to the top of the birds and up to the bottom of the birds, so I knew that it would all fit in. And then I put the ribbon around it before I put it onto dimensionals and then onto the white sheet underneath. But this one, I'm hoping what I can do is to put the fancy bits on, like that, one top, one bottom, and just use glue here, there and everywhere. I will need to cut off the ends, but that's okay. I think that's going to look quite nice without the ribbons. Right, let's wake Tombow up a bit. Right. So that's glue all the way down the straight line, and then in as many of the larger areas as possible. And some of this is coming out quite quickly, so I'm going to give it a little dab onto some scrap paper. I really don't want it all to come oozing out everywhere. Right, I have a sheet here and my tweezers. I'll bring this back. Right, so what's happening is this is lining up just with that curved bit there coming off the edge. And that should all be adhering down beautifully. Just move it up slightly because I can see a bit of blue there. Isn't that pretty? I love that. Right, let's do the other side. Right, let's get this ready. There we go. I don't think I've done quite as badly that time with the thickness, but I'm not taking any chances. Let's bring this back. I want it that way, don't I? Right, now it's going to be right by that curve. It should be by this curve as well. That looks really good. You can still see some of the zigzag pattern underneath there, but that's not going to be an issue for me. Let me bring it close so that you can see. Okay, the top one, you can't see anything underneath apart from these lines, although you can still see the lines, so it doesn't really make too much difference. You've got lots of lines there. What a beautiful design that is. Right, so all I'm going to do now is just trim these end bits off. Put that, it's coming off the edge a bit there. But that'll be fine. So now this one I'm going to adhere on here. Because I'm putting white onto white, I want to put one of the whites on dimensionals. Did that slip? I don't think so. And I'll put, oh no, I'll leave that one to do the decoration on it first. Right, so this is going to have dimensionals on it. Preferably big ones. I hope you like this technique because it is something a bit different. Makes your cards look different from regular vellum cards. Right, now this has got to go on this. This looks a bit like Delft China, doesn't it? From Holland. It's a blue and white. Maybe not the right sort of blue, but oops. Let's try that again. Yeah, I think that's right. I think I need some kind of embellishments here because the Tombow did come out rather quickly, so I need to hide that. So what shall we use? It's either going to be, in fact not that one, no. Pearls. I think pearls would be rather nice, won't they, because that keeps to all the blue and white effect. And we got some nice chunky ones here. Oh yes, beautiful. There we go. And I did put some smaller ones. Where's my bit that I got to cut out? This one. I did put some smaller ones on the centre of the curly bits of my other card, my pink one. As I say, this isn't too bad to cut out. Oops. She says making a real hash of it. I may have to redo this after the video is finished. Take this one off and put a better one on. I'll have a look, see what it's what the finished effect is. That's not too bad. Just cut the bits that finish up with sharp points. That's such a giveaway that it's been cut by hand. There we go. Right, now I don't have to worry about this going over ribbon, do I? White on white, it's got to go on dimensionals. The little ones are ideal for this. I'm not really a blue person. Not in the same way as in I'm not an orange person. Really not an orange person. I just unwittingly tend to avoid blue. But this is lovely. I love this colour scheme. I think I'm going to raise that up a little bit. Raised it towards the birds to take it off of here a bit. I think it shows it up a little bit more. That's where I had the pearls before. I put them in there and then I had two along there. So, but I think I'll have the smaller ones. If I've got some loose smaller ones here. Yeah. That's it. That one. There we go. So that's the front all finished. Very happy with that. Now I just need to do this piece. And all I did with this was I used Tombow again. And I just did little dabs about every 3 or 4 shape. Not quite sure how much I've got to cut off here, so I'll do the 3 at the end there. See, little dabs like this don't normally show through. Oh, here we go. There we go. You can't see, can you? Not at all. Right, so I'm going to pop that onto this sheet. And then I can cut off the ends. Yep, that's good. And this is all going to be Tombow. And I've got some other samples to show you as well before I go. Let's just quickly line this up. That looks good. Right, so that's at the bottom. Okay, I'm not going to try and pull that off. There we go, that's fine. So that's my card for today. That was my earlier card that I showed you. This is another one that I did. This is one of the patterns from the, what was it, Graceful Glass design in Vellum. So I've done that one. Again, used some of the paper inside there, and I've also done one of the bookmarkers. Let's get a piece of paper here to put this up against. Okay, so there's that, which I thought was really gorgeous. I love doing that one. And also this one here that I've done, that I really need to finish off and do something with. I will try and get it onto my blog the same day my video goes live, which will be Sunday the 1st of July 2018. So check my blog and you might see some extra samples there. So many thanks for joining me today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the box below. I'm always very happy to help you. And if you'd like to purchase any of the products that I featured here, there'll be a link to my 24/7 shop, online shop, in the box below the video. I'll also list out all the measurements and the products that I've used. Again, in the box below, everything's down there for you. If you've enjoyed my video and like to be notified each time I upload a new one, which is normally Sundays and Wednesdays, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you've enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. Many thanks. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.